Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. It is a Wednesday, the 14th day of May. We're back to regular programming right after the elections, bringing you Morning Matters today because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. The 2025 midterm Senate race sees a diverse lineup poised to claim victory. Alianza, Duterte, and the so-called yellow opposition locking in spots in the Magic 12. Even survey firms were caught off guard by the voter turnout. Comelec responded to issues of delays and data duplication in transmitting election returns. They firmly stated that no vote manipulation took place. Over 700 ballot boxes from various precincts undergo random manual audit today, led by Comelec and teams from the Department of Education. A shocker in this year's midterm elections, Kiko Pangilinan secures a high placement in the race. What does this mean for the political landscape? Stay tuned. We'll have him on the program later on. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda. Several local candidates have already been proclaimed winners following Election Day. Here is the report.
Pambaricuatro has been proclaimed winner of the gubernatorial race in Cebu. The Duterte ally run under PDP. Baricuatro defeated longtime Governor Gwen Garcia.
I started, I was branded as who you. This is really victory.
Nestor Archival's win as Cebu City Mayor was also a game changer. He is set to unseat incumbent Mayor Raymond Garcia.
I'm very happy. I didn't expect na ito yung resulta. Considering na medyo wala kaming resources, what we did is dumiretso na kami doon sa mga constituents.
Over in Las Piñas, independent bend Mark Anthony Santos won over Senator Cynthia Villar for the Congress seat.
Talagang, this is the first time na palitan po yung family, Villar family,
Sa Congress.
to represent the Lone District of Las Piñas po. Isa po sa mga issues, hindi naman po pera ang ginagamit para maging isang lugar or isang bayan. At during the campaign po, may mga issues po na lumabas and these are documented issues and actually po, ayoko na po sana pag-usapan yung mga issues kasi nag-decide na po kasi talaga yung tao. I'm offering my hand to my opponent, Senator Cynthia Villar, para tulungan naman po sana yung suportahan po ang mga programa.
Marcy Teodoro was also proclaimed as Marikina representative.
We believe that the overwhelming votes that he got yesterday is a sign that the voice of Marikina people should be heard. It's just a suspension. It's not really final and executory. So, talagang kailangan lang siguro dumaan tayo sa proseso.
In Davao, detained former President Rodrigo Duterte was declared mayor. 5 other Duterte were proclaimed winners this midterm elections. In Naga City, former President Leni Robredo has been elected as the new mayor. She's the first woman mayor of the city. Meanwhile, House Speaker Martin Romualdez was re-elected representative of Leyte. This will be his 3rd term in the position. Former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo has also won her re-election bid as Pampanga representative.
The Comelec has announced that the proclamation of at least 19 candidates will be suspended. Chairman George Garcia said the pending disqualification cases against them need to be resolved first. Now, among those named are candidates from various positions. The list includes congressional candidates Marcy Teodoro and Christian Sia. More details are expected to be released in the coming days as the poll body finalizes its resolutions on the disqualification petitions. Partial and unofficial results of the 2025 Senate race indicate a diverse lineup of leading candidates, including those from Alianza, Duterte, and the traditional opposition. Mayan Los Baños has a report.
So far, 6 senatorial candidates under Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas have made it to the Magic 12 based on partial and unofficial results of the count. They're Erwin Tulfo, Tito Soto, Ping Lacson, Pia Cayetano, and Lito Lapid, as well as Camille Villar, although she was also endorsed by Vice President Sara Duterte. This early, President Bongbong Marcos is thanking those who supported his ticket. For him, this is proof that, quote, once again, our democracy has renewed itself peacefully, orderly, and with dignity. The president went on, we may not have won every seat, but our work and mission continue. He also congratulated those who won from other political parties and urged everyone to move forward. For his part, Erwin Tulfo sees a united new Senate, vowing to reach out to every camp in the upper chamber. Former Senate President Tito Soto only has thanks for those who have elected him for a 5th time. Senator Bong Revilla is also grateful. Although he failed to make the cut, he too is calling for unity. On the side are the so-called Duterten, Bongo, Bato de la Rosa, and Rodante Marcoleta made it to the winning circle. With Amy Marcos making it to the 12th spot, she was once part of Alyansa and later on endorsed by VP Sara. Go and De La Rosa believe there's something behind their big win.
Malaking bagay rin po yun, no? Nung may sympathy votes naman talagang galit yung tao. Malaking tulong yung nangyari, no? Sa amin, sa team, siyempre, pero malaking kawalan rin po yung kanyang physical presence sa mga rallies.
Yan ang malaking dahilan bakit kami umangat. Yung pag-kidnap at pagdala kay Pangulong Duterte doon sa daig. So, naggalit yung taong bayan, kaya sila ngayon rumisbak yung taong bayan through their votes.
Meanwhile, comeback is real for Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan after they successfully landed not just the top 12 but the top 5. They were as surprised as many who saw them struggle in various pre-election surveys.
Sabi ko nga, kailangan namin ng milagro para manalo at mukhang yun ang nangyari.
And I took a look at the phone, 250 messages, 80 messages, 150 messages, lahat. Congratulations, congratulations. So at that point, naisip ko, baka nga nanalo tayo. But that result is really not what we all expected.
But for TV5 Chief Election Analyst Edson Guido, Aquino's victory is not at all surprising. He got the highest number of votes from top 3 vote-rich regions, Calabarzon, Central Luzon, and Metro Manila, otherwise known as the Lingayen-Lucena Corridor.
Kung how crucial the Lingayen-Lucena Corridor is. Isipin nyo, Lingayen-Lucena Corridor pa lang, halos 10 million votes na ang nakuha ni Bam Aquino.
In the case of Pangilinan, he has millennials and Gen Z voters to thank.
I think the Filipinos are also sick and tired already of divisiveness, no? Laging factions ang nangyayari. And so, yun nga, medyo hindi natin nakita yung third force, no? Na nandyan lang. And then they were able to capitalize on that. Not to mention the issues na sinakyan nila. Diba? Mga issues kasi na sinakyan nila is all about the youth, no? Education. Kay Senator Kiko is more about food security, agriculture, na talagang pangailangan natin ngayon. So I think it resonated well with the public.
In the party list race, Akbayan dominated with human rights lawyer Chel Jokno as first nominee.
We were also not sure how the results would come out because of the surveys that we had seen. But I think it's a combination of the work that Akbayan did on the ground as well as what we call the air war pagdating sa kampanya.
Mamamayang Liberal Party List Representative Laila de Lima is also assured of a seat. For Senate Minority Member Risa Hontiveros, this isn't just a simple comeback for the traditional opposition, but proof that, quote, lumalakas na ang totoong oposisyon sa Senado at Kongreso. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
Election day saw tension and controversy with reports of violence and voting irregularities in several areas. In Barangay Sagap, Bangged, Abra, gunfire erupted as polling stations opened, sending voters fleeing in panic. Authorities have yet to identify the shooter. Meanwhile, videos from Abra polling centers went viral, showing poll watchers allegedly marking ballots on behalf of voters.
Bawal kung hindi sila relative. tinawagan ko si EO para sabihin kay COP kung ano yung nangyayari as reported in the video. At initially, napahinto naman yon. Ibig sabihin yon na yung mismong butante nang nagsulat.
In Lanao del Sur, authorities were compelled to use force, including firing warning shots to restore order amid the chaos. Now, despite these problems, the Philippine National Police said the 2025 midterm elections were generally peaceful.
This year's polls were notably more peaceful compared to previous elections, with only a few election-related incidents or ERIs reported in areas such as the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM and Abra.
Let's take a look at how the senatorial race is shaping up 2 days after Election Day. Bongo still leads the pack with over 26 million votes. Now, garnering over 20 million votes each are Bam Aquino and Bato de la Rosa for number 2 and 3. At the 4th spot is Erwin Tulfo with 16 million votes. Now, coming in next are Kiko Pangilinan, Rodante Marcoleta, Ping Lacson, Tito Soto, Pia Cayetano, and Camille Villar. And on the 11th and 12th spots are Lito Lapid and Aimee Marcos, respectively. Don't go away. Morning Matters will return right after a short break.
Polling precincts across the country will open to millions of Filipinos in one of the most consequential elections in Philippine history.
Therefore, pag nag-transmit siya ng resulta mula senador,
You are watching Bilang Pilipino 2025, One News 31-hour non-stop coverage of the midterm elections.
Welcome back. You're watching Bilang Pilipino 2025, One News 31.
Boboto dito si Vice President Sara Duterte.
So far, sir, what's your assessment?
Mabilis naman ang proseso ng kanilang pagboto pero mailan tayong mga nakapag.
today, the nation decides.
We have the big story on the ground from the full force of MediaQuest's news teams. Our reporters and stringers strategically placed nationwide. Our mobile journalist also bring us the latest. Let's take a look. Ito, Angela.
Kasi ganun kadami yung butante dito nga sa Valle Verde pa.
Bilang Pilipino 2020.
So results coming in, 48% so far, 45,000 of 93,000 precincts.
What we're seeing so far is the Cebu City results are already in.
We have on the line Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Hindi niya pa talaga nami-meet yung around 80% ng open voting.
Magandang umaga, Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Kami po'y gising na gising pa.
Wala nang ang tulugan talaga. This is the special coverage on Bilang Pilipino 2025. I'm Ces Orenia Drinon. We are still One News, all sides, all the time.
Simula na naman ng isang bagong umaga.
You're watching scenes from the 31-hour Bilang Pilipino midterm elections coverage, and the coverage continues. Welcome back. You're watching Morning Matters here on One News. Speaking of the elections, Comelec addressed concerns over delays and data duplication in the transmission of election returns, assuring the public there was no manipulation of votes. Here is the report.
The Commission on Elections has denied allegations of dagdag-bawas or vote padding and shaving in the results of the 2025 midterm elections. This comes as election results for the senatorial race went viral due to an alleged discrepancy and a reported decline of about 5 million votes received by one senatorial candidate. Comelec Chairman George Garcia explained that some media outlets release election results without first cleansing the raw data they received from the poll body's data server.
Una muna gusto kong liwanagin. Ang Comelec, wala kaming pagsusuma total. Nakita nyo lahat yun. Wala kaming pag-ranking.
The PPCRV, one of the groups authorized to receive election returns, flagged the discrepancy after noticing a difference between their internal count and the data received by other outlets from Comelec's transparency server. The poll body clarified that this issue was due to software used to process and filter duplicate entries from precincts. The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, has since investigated the matter and assured the public that while some precinct transmissions were duplicated during consolidation, it did not affect the official results and the integrity of the votes. The DICT emphasized that there is no cause for concern and that the election results will still be thoroughly verified and validated through the election returns.
The PPCRV flags the suspected discrepancy surrounding the transmission of votes. They noticed the difference in their internal count and the data received by other outlets coming from Comelec's transparency server. The Comelec said this was due to a software that is used to process and filter duplicate entries that have already been transmitted by the precincts. The PPCRV is currently doing a random manual audit on votes coming from the counting machines to double-check the results.
We have two strong audits in place, and I think we should continue to give emphasis and continued vigilance for those audits. So, may dagdag-bawas pa. I'll have to tell you, honestly, I don't know. I hope not, I pray not, but at this point, I have to wait for the results of the audits.
And to talk more about that, we have PPCRV spokesperson Ana Singson joining us now via Zoom. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning.
Okay, Miss Ana, the Comelec has already explained themselves when it comes to first the duplicate entries. I'm curious to know, was it the same on your side? And sabi po nila that they actually already told the outlets, media and the other servers that they needed to have a software to be able to clean the data from duplicates. Pareho din po ba yung experience ninyo?
With PPCRV, this is a funny thing. You would have noticed that we did not release anything in social media and we were very late in bringing out our numbers. That's because our numbers were not tallying with the numbers of anybody else coming out. We were not tallying with the numbers of all the other that came from all the other transparency servers, because there are 5 transparency servers. We have one of them, no? And we thought, did we get it wrong? Apparently, we got it right, because if you remember, in 2013, there was also a sort of double count. And ever since then, all our applications, our programs which read the data from the server, always has a line which takes out any possible duplications. So our data was apparently right because we filtered out the duplications. So we thought we were wrong, and that's why we withheld our data. That's why we were very late in coming out, and we were 0 in social media. We did not show any count. But apparently, we had filtered properly. Now, to give back... yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
To give background, it was only later that we discovered that the discrepancy being talked about was actually the double count, because we filtered back. We said, oh my gosh, we were right all along pala. But we were overly conservative and did not show our numbers because we thought we were wrong, and we were eternally trying to see what was wrong. But that's why we gave a press release yesterday explaining what had happened. As for that double count, it happened in 2013. And in 2013, it was after the fact that everybody filtered. The data was cleaned. It was filtered after. But in the elections after 2013, in 2016, in 2019, and in 2022, the data that was being thrown to the transparency server was filtered. Now, if there was communication that filtering was needed beforehand, it was not communication that PPCRV needed, because we always did automatic filtering since 2013.
Oh, it seems if you're not a tech person, this would be tremendously complicated. What would you say of the whole process of Comelec, and also the way that they did it this time around? What is your perception of how everything transpired?
Well, I think it's also because we have a new we have a new provider. Miru is providing our ACMs for the first time, and maybe their script is different from the script because they were saying it was a script issue, which is really very possible because we have a new provider. We've been used to having one provider since 2010 all the way to 2022. And that script is perhaps something we got very used to already, and we anticipated that would perhaps be the script. But the script here is different now because we have a new supplier coming in. I think that script was also, the script issue was the explanation for why it took a bit of time before we actually had eyes on the actual on the data. We could not process the data until Comelec already had eyes on 66% of the transmission, but we still, none of the transparency server owners could access the data in a form that we could process, and in a form that we could process to relay to all of you. No? So the script issue is what was given as an explanation, and it's very tenable and it's viable given that there is a new supplier with a new kind of script, very different from what we were used to for all of our past automated elections.
Miss Anna, pero doesn't that defeat the purpose of send all? Dapat sabay-sabay, hindi rin ba dapat sabay-sabay din siya nagpa-process? Pati yung time, no? Hindi naman ganun kalaki dapat yung pagkakaiba dahil it is send all. Bakit nauna yung Comelec? I mean, isa-isa bang sinisend yun? Ganun ba yun? Kaya may delay in the sending?
Precisely our question. And we reached out to Comelec. Tumawag ho kami and we said, hello, 33. At that time when I called, I said, 33% mo nakikita nyo. Kami wala pa nakikita. Bakit naman ganun, di ba? Help! And what I understand is that Comelec kasi, their data comes to them in human readable form. Okay, to simplify it, it's in human readable form so we can read, they can read the data na. When it comes to us, it's in machine readable form. The machine can read it, but we cannot. So we have to process it. Now you will ask, bakit kanila human readable, bakit amin machine readable? Because the different and my understanding of this and our theory for this is that those of us who receive the data, we like to process it and format it in different ways. Like for example, you, media, you would need to process it in different formats because you have different formats when you show it to the public. PPCRV also have our own formats, as well as the political parties. They want to delve into different things, so they format the data differently. That's why we get it in machine-readable data that it can be processed in many, slice and dice in many different ways. As for the delay, well, they said it's because of the script. And maybe nga, it's there's a new supplier now with their own particular kind of script. And siguro nakasanayan na lang natin yung script, the historical script since 2010 until 2022.
Okay. Did you time the delay? How long was it before you got to see the results appear on your server?
The first data, the first processable data that we could process arrived maybe around 9 o'clock. Around 9 o'clock, yes.
And right about now, what is the percentage of the transmitted ERs?
Okay. If you're looking at the Comelec dashboard, they're already at 99.12%. We are very close. Malapit na ho. There was a time medyo malaki yung agwat, but at this point, we're very close. We're already at almost 98% in what we're processing. And that has nothing to do with the fact that hindi pinapadala sa amin. It's just that our volunteers are so tired, so there are some data files that our volunteers have not yet processed because, well, they asked to sleep last night. We said, of course, go to sleep. We will process this morning when they're a little more energized and fresher.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. So the ACMs transmit data to the different servers,
yes,
and then it goes to a certain computer. And then meron po kayong mga tao na kinukuha yung data na yon to process to another format for it to appear the way you want it to your system. So that's the process. Okay. Was there a test run of this whole thing prior to election day, or are we just finding out about things right now?
There was a test run, but the test run is always a limited run. It's not a volume-based run. It's not a scaled-up run. So there was a test run, and our technical people were part of that. I'm not technical, but I joined it also because it was a critical thing, and they gave us a data file so that we could practice our runs also.
Okay, I guess it's good to lay down what really happened on the back end. Actually, for our tech experts to be able to dissect yung mga ano na yan, no, mga delay, kung tama ba yung pagpapaliwanag. But apart from that, let's go to the other election-related reports. The Vote Report PH said that as of May 13, 12 p.m., more than half or about half of the election-related reports are concerned with ACM issues. Are you getting the same feedback from your own volunteers? And would you come out with a report as well?
Of course, we will be coming out with our report. And yes, we have a system wherein we have a call center, and not only volunteers call, but that system was open to the public. So we had voters calling themselves. In terms of ACM machines, there were calls about technical issues, but we still have to quantify. But it seems that they were less compared to 2022. And I will have to say that we have to quantify because our database is quite large. There were many people calling in. We still have to quantify everything. But qualitatively, it seems like there were less technical issues pertaining to the machine. There were several issues, recurrent issues na if you feed the ballot, after 3 ballots are fed in, it will restart. The good thing, though, is that there seemed to be better technical support now compared to 2022. Why do I say that? There were Comelec representatives in our command center, and whenever somebody would complain about a machine, we would escalate it to the Comelec group, and they would immediately escalate it on field. And unlike past elections, I would suddenly get notes saying this issue is resolved. Parang may case number at nare-resolve. There was more technical support now because in previous elections, I think there was only one technical hub per province. So an entire province would be served by only one service team, technical team. No, this time I think Comelec made an effort to put one technical team per district, which is so much better. And we think that went into play because when there were issues called into us and we'd escalated to Comelec, to give credit, they were resolved. Everything except one issue was resolved, and that issue was in Dato Odin in Basilan. And that had to do with the machine not being there at all, which finally arrived at around 3 p.m. and became operational at 3 p.m. But everything that was escalated in our center was resolved. And I do know for a fact that they put more technical support. Now, there was another technical, I don't know if it's technical, there was another machine-related issue that is quite new to us because we've been doing this automated election since 2010 and PPCRV has been there. A new issue seems to have surfaced, and at first we were trying to see, is it localized or are the calls coming from many different areas? Is it just voters calling in or is it also our coordinators? But we find that the calls, complaints were coming from a wide selection, a wide area, different parts of the country, Zamboanga, NCR, Luzon, Visayas, so pretty much around the country. And our coordinators themselves were calling, saying that, questioning the ballot assessment of the machine. An example I would give you, and this came out a lot, like we voted one person for mayor, and then when the receipt came out, it became like overvote. So that means the machine assessed not just the one they shaded, the one oval, but another mark as well. Now we have to be very careful, and I have to be very careful here when speaking with you because these are calls. So we cannot take them as fact because we have no access to the ballot. The ballot is secret. Nobody sees the ballot except for the voter. So the reason I am confident we can find out if there is an issue or not with us is because there is a random manual audit. In the random manual audit, they're going to open the machine it is going to be manually assessed and compared to the electronic one. So we will see, did the machine assess markings which could have been unintentional? We need to see that. But one thing we are theorizing is perhaps the machine became a little too sensitive, because in 2022, the threshold was set at 25%, wherein if you shaded 25% or 1/4 of the oval, it would already count that vote. It was lowered to 15% in this particular elections in 2025. So is it too sensitive? Is that why unintentional marks like a finger smudge or maybe you accidentally rested the pen or the pen given, the marker given while you were thinking that you were going to vote, were unintentional marks read? So we don't see the ballots of the callers who complained. We have no access to the ballots of what the coordinators complained to us. We are just relaying that there were complaints, and that's why we are really taking a very, very strong point in observing very well the RMA. And I'm very glad to say that the PPCRV, the RMA is being run by the PSA, but PPCRV is the lead civil society organization that will be observing how the PSA conducts the RMA. So we are really nakatutok there. We have people there all the time checking. So we will be able to see, is there an issue with the way it assessed? So as of now, those comments are allegations because we have no access to the ballots.
Correct. Oo, tama po kayo, no? Although random in nature ito, pwede bang puntahan din yung may mga reports na ganun, na may discrepancy kuno or allegedly from the ballot and what has been coming out in the receipt? Kasi yun din ang natatanggap na report dito sa Vote Report PH, discrepancies between the ballot and the receipt or the VVPAT, to which Comelec Chairman George Garcia said, wala namang hard evidence. It's the same thing that you're saying, ano? Pero ang dating kasi sa iba parang dina-downplay yung issue, no? Imbis na tignan, imbis na imbestigahan. So is it possible to actually zero in on those with reports that there have been discrepancies?
You know, we were asked that same thing by those who are calling us and by our coordinators. Our system is through the random manual audit. They already chose 762 local precincts and one overseas one in Dubai. So there's going to be a random manual audit also of one of the ballot boxes in Dubai. What we told our coordinators who were calling this into us, and what we told also the callers, is file an election report on the spot. You file it there, so it's in the minutes of the EO, of the EB in your particular precinct, and it will come out. And if there is scale, because we get calls yet, so we don't know the exact scale of this issue. So if there is scale, we will know. But in terms of can we include those particular precincts in the random manual audit, it will defeat naman the purpose of being random. Hindi na siya random.
After na lang. With probably kung may official reports, doon na lang titignan. Ano? Is that possible to be requested from the Comelec to look into these cases?
You know, for us, we're going to look very closely at the results and the conduct of the random manual audit. If there is reason to request for more, sure that PPCRV will be among the first to request for more on behalf of everyone. But for me, kalmado muna tayo. Let's not create any issues because we don't know yet if there is an issue.
Correct.
If there is over-assessment or under-assessment, we will see that in the random manual audit. And if there is an issue, what we can guarantee is we will be the very first, among the very first, to raise that issue.
Well, I agree with you, Anna, that we need to be very careful about this issue because it is questioning the integrity of the results themselves. Absolutely. And in an age of disinformation, it could be, just triggering panic amongst the voting population. So, tama po kayo, dahan-dahan lang. Let's see things as they unfold, especially today that the random manual audit begins. What is your call for the voters out there who have their concerns and their things to report? Is it too late now? If ever meron po silang kailangan ma-report, sabi niyo po kasi kailangan na mag-file na on the spot, ano? Pero kung wari, ako bilang isang botante, mali yung nakita ko sa resibo ko, pero hindi ko na i-report, pwede pa rin ba akong humabol?
You can still, there are still actually, as of last night, may tumatawag pa sa hotline namin. Our hotlines are still open. You can still call 0919-05-PPCRV. Again, that's 0919-05-PPCRV or 852-PPCRV. 852-PPCRV. So we're still taking on those. And the good thing is we have, parang ano po kami, parang call center. So everything is automated. When you have a call, it's logged in. At least it will go into our records, which will go also to the official record, to the official report that we will be giving out to everyone, and also giving Comelec a copy of. May I mention also that we have another audit? Is it okay to mention the other
Go
audit?
ahead.
Yeah. There's another important audit we have to look at, and that one is the one that PPCRV is leading, and that's what you're seeing in your screens right now. We're already starting the audit for that. It's called the unofficial parallel count, which is the audit of the transmitted vote. I think even more now, I was, after Comelec came out and said the delay in giving the data to us was due to script. We saw in social media, so many people were saying, script ng eleksyon. Let's be careful, please. Mahinahon naman, please, before we throw such allegations. The reason why I'm saying is because if there was a difference between what was transmitted and what was printed out, we will catch it. And that's what we are doing in the PPCRV unofficial parallel count. You see on your screen, we are already receiving copies of the election reports, which are being, those are the ERs, those are the printouts from the ACM machines. We gather those nationwide and bring them to our command center in Sampaloc. And then, because we have data from the server, we compare the printout to the transmitted.
Okay.
We'll see, nagkaiba ba? Because people are now saying, ang tagal-tagal bago nakita ng ibang servers, baka napalitan. We are confident that we will catch it because we have the physical printouts. And then we will compare that with the transmitted one. So the beauty of our elections is that there are audits in place to take a look if there are issues or not. So let's give the audits a chance, please, to assess, the audits a chance to work in the way that they are supposed to. So we have mechanisms in place.
May we know how many ACM machines or receipts you're receiving and you're auditing?
As of yesterday, mahina pa yesterday because it rained so hard during election day, our couriers could not bring in the ERs. As of yesterday at 7 p.m., and it's more now, we had around 6,000, but we're anticipating na dadagsan ako today because our couriers called us already. They're on the way na from, and everything as of yesterday was from Manila pa lang. But our couriers called na padating na sila starting last night and today. So we're expecting, like in 2022, we were able to get almost 90% of all the ERs nationwide. We were able to physically bring them to our command center. So we're hoping that we can do the same. It's a Herculean task, but we're hoping to do this.
So 6,000 machines po yung sinabi
yes,
niyo 6,000?
one ER is equal to one machine, which is equal to one precinct.
Okay. So we're doing a manual count of the receipts coming from 6,000 machines.
No, not a manual count. These ERs, they have a QR code. We used to do manual. We used to encode. That's what we used to do in 2022. We will encode the results of these manual ERs. But now kasi, the bottom of the ER has a QR code. So we just scan the QR code. We put that on our screen. We verify it by bashing it against the transmitted one. So we bash the physical copy versus the transmitted one.
So ang makikita lang po doon ay kung tama yung naipadalang number na count doon sa ACM papunta doon sa mga server natin at hindi po yung yung isa-isang resibo na lumalabas.
No, we have the summary. That's what you're seeing right now on your screen. That's the summary of all the votes in one in one automated counting machine or one precinct. So we get that, we scan that, then we compare it against the transmitted one. So to the people, I'm seeing in social media now, to the people who are saying that, okay, there was a gap, baka kung ano nang nangyari, we have the ability to check that because we hold the physical ERs. And then we compare that to the transmitted one. So we will see if there's a difference.
Okay, Miss Anna, just curious to know, which system do you prefer? The one with the central transparency server or this send-all mechanism?
The reason that they made it direct to us is because it's more transparent that way. And PPCRV has yet to make its final assessment. But what's good about the system now is we're seeing a large part of the data. And I say that because in 2010 and in 2013, in 2010, we only saw 92% of the data. We were dechained from 8%. So we were blind to 8% of all the results because it was not transmitting directly to us. Now we know that, yes, it was transmitting first to a server that we were connected to. Now our own server is connected. The machine directly relays data to us. So as long as there is a transmission, we will get it. No? So that is the big positive with this new system now. In 2013, there was a time when we were only seeing 73% of the data. And I remember we came up with a press conference saying, why don't we have eyes? That's because we were not directly connected to the ACMs. Now, diretso po. Pag nagtatransmit ang ACM, it will transmit to the MBOC, and then after that to Comelec, and then to each of the 5 servers na po. That's PPCRV, major political party, minor political party, the media, and AMFREL.
Okay, so we will await the results of your unofficial parallel count. Thank you so much, though, for your service in these elections. Napakahalaga po ng inyong tungkulin para masiguro yung integridad ng ating halalan. Maraming salamat for joining us this morning and explaining things from your side. We have PPCRV spokesperson Anna Singson.
Thank you.
Survey firms admit being surprised by the outcome of the midterm elections. As in previous election cycles, surveys normally have a very minimal ±5 margin of error. So although Bongo topped all the surveys, Bam Aquino landing in second place is one curious case for Pulse Asia and other polling firms.
We're quite surprised that we were not getting Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan in the top 12 for all the surveys we did. And not just us, other survey outfits as well. So it's quite surprising. In the past, we would miss at just one, if at most. If we didn't get all, we would miss just one. But this is really unusual because they were so far from the top 12.
For political analyst Froilan Calilong, it could be because some demographics have not been touched, such as the young voters. Sympathy votes also appeared to have played a role in the midterm outcome.
Hindi na-touch ng pre-poll surveys yung demographic segment talaga. Halimbawa itong youth votes natin, the Gen Z and the millennials that comprise a good majority of the voters, the registered voters for these elections. I think it was not equally represented doon sa kanilang sampling. Madaling alamin yung sentimiento ng mga tao because walang kumbaga exogenous variables walang impeachment, walang arrest.
Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back right after a short break.
Polling precincts across the country will open to millions of Filipinos in one of the most consequential elections in Philippine history.
Therefore, pag nag-transmit siya ng resulta mula senador,
You are watching Bilang Pilipino 2025, One News 31-hour non-stop coverage of the midterm elections.
Welcome back. You're watching Bilang Pilipino 2025, One News 31.
Boboto dito si Vice President Sara Duterte.
So far, sir, what's your assessment?
Mabilis naman ang proseso ng kanilang pagboto pero mailan tayong mga
Today, the nation decides.
We have the big story on the ground from the full force of MediaQuest's news teams. Our reporters and stringers strategically placed nationwide. About journalists also bring us the latest. Let's take a look at
Angela. Kasi ganun kadami yung butante dito nga sa Valle Verde.
Bilang Pilipino 2025.
Results coming in, 48% so far, 45,000 of 93,000 precincts.
What we're seeing so far is the Cebu City results are already in.
We have on the line Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Hindi niya pa talaga nami-meet yung around 80% na open voting.
Magandang umaga, Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Kami po'y gising na gising pa.
Wala nang ang tulugan talaga. This is the special coverage on Bilang Pilipino 2025. I'm Ces Orenia Drinon. We are still One News, all sides, all the time.
Simula na naman ng isang bagong umaga. Muling pagsibol ng bagong pag-asa. Bagong pagkakataon.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The Comelec is set to conduct a random manual audit for the 2025 midterm elections. This will begin today, May 14, 2 days after Election Day. Around 700 manually selected ballot boxes from various precincts will be audited. Now, this will be conducted by at least 60 teams from the Education Department who did not serve as electoral board members. The audit will take place at Citadines Bay City, Manila in Pasay City. The canvassing of votes is now underway following Election Day. Let's get the latest from mobile journalist Merimon Reyes, who joins us live from Manila. Merimon, kamusta naman ang kaganapan dyan?
Gretchen, mula dito sa Comelec Monitoring Center sa Intramuros, Maynila, nakuha natin yung impormasyon na around 10 o'clock a.m. na isisimulan na ng National Board of Canvassers na binubuo ng Comelec ang day 2 ng canvassing. And as of bandang 2 o'clock in the morning, over 70 provinces na at 55 overseas na certificates of canvass na ang nabibilang. And before that, siguro mga 9:30 daw ayon sa Comelec, magkakaroon ng press con si Comelec Chairman George Erwin Garcia. Dahil nasabi rin na within this day, posibleng maglabas na rin daw ng partial and official counts ng mga boto. Pero so far, wala pa tayong oras na nalalaman tungkol dito. Pero pagdating naman sa election returns, as of 6:55 a.m. doon sa Comelec database nila, 830 na lang ang hinihintay na election returns mula sa 93,387 na local ERs. At pagdating naman sa overseas, 8 na lang mula sa 242 overseas ERs ang hinihintay. So, yun yung pinaka-latest natin mula dito sa monitoring center ng Comelec, Gretchen.
Okay. Merimon, bakit may mga hinihintay pa? Kasama ba rito yung mga election hotspots at pati yung kailangan mag-reprint ng mga ballots? Ano yung update doon?
So far, Gretchen, wala pa tayong impormasyon doon. Pero yan yung isa sa mga inaabangan din natin sa press con. Kasi bukod nga dyan, kahapon na bring up yung sinasabi na dagdag-bawas daw or vote manipulation na nangyayari na kiniklaim base sa obserbasyon ng mga nakatutok dito sa halalan. So later sa 9:30 a.m. press con ni Chairman Garcia, titignan natin yung mga latest na updates nila patungkol sa mga ito at kung magkakaroon ba sila ng impormasyon, kung meron ba sila tinitignan na possible failure of election. Pero simula kahapon hanggang ngayong araw na ito ay wala pa tayong nakukuha ang impormasyon tungkol doon. Gretchen.
Ay, Merimon, ipaliwanag mo nga sa amin, ano ba yung pagkakaiba nung nangyayari dyan sa canvassing of COCs? Tama ba? And doon sa random manual audit.
Gretchen, yung doon sa random manual audit, yung 762 na random na balota mula sa iba't ibang presinto ay manually audit ito ng nasa 60 teams ng DepEd na hindi nga nag-serve as electoral board members. Nagkaroon ng training ang mga ito from April 28 to 30. So since random siya, titignan nito kung pareho rin ba yung lumalabas. Kasi dito titignan yung possible na magkaroon ng pandaraya o nagkaroon ba ng complications doon sa mga balota. And even yung magiging transmission nito pagdating sa canvassing of votes. So pagkatapos ito, posible magkaroon ng comparison to check yung integrity mula doon sa NBOC and even doon sa mga presinto kung saan nanggaling itong mga balota. So yun yung pinaka-procedure ng random manual auditing. Pero dito sa Comelec Monitoring Center sa Intramuros, actually medyo wala pang katao-tao sa paligid ko dahil dito sa Comelec Voter Care Center, natapos na yung kanilang 24/7 na pagtutok daw sa mga tawag ng concerns or inquiries. Kahapon yung pinakahuli nilang operations around the midnight. Pero isa pa rin sa hindi nawawala na tawag na natanggap nila is yung pagre-relay daw ng voter experience. Kasi may isang tumawag, mag-ina sila mula Makati na ang kanilang concern na sana raw ay mapansin ng Comelec para raw sa mga susunod na halalan. Yung naging problema nila na active naman daw yung voters ID nila. Nakita naman daw nila doon sa pressing finder yung kanilang mga detalye. Pero pagdating nila doon mismo sa presinto, hindi raw lumabas yung kanilang mga pangalan. Unfortunately, hindi na sila nakapagboto. Pero ang nasabi naman dito ng Comelec Voter Care, i-relay daw nila ito sa mga komite o sa mga opisyal ng Comelec para raw sa mas maganda na lang na paglilinis ng sistema sa susunod. Gretchen.
Ang tanong kasi, meron pa bang magagawa o sakasakali? Pwede pa ba silang bumoto o talagang medyo huli na? At pangalawa, yung mga balota na may discrepancy doon sa naprint sa VVPAT, that's also another concern. Is the Comelec looking into that?
Yes, Gretchen. Bukod dyan sa mga nabanggit mo, meron pang isang dinebunk ang Comelec noong araw ng halala na may nagkiklaim daw kasi na nagkakaroon ng overvoting dahil tumatagas daw yung tinta ng pen na ginagamit sa likuran. So either na hindi raw nabibilang yung boto na yon, pero nilinaw ng Comelec, wala raw magkatapat na bilog sa harap at likod ng balota. So yung mga ganong claims ay iniisa-isa na nilang dinedebunk. And to clear things out din, lahat daw ng mga problema, even yung mga paglabag sa election regulations and laws, may prescription period of 5 years ang Comelec. So hindi pa, kumbaga, garantisado daw na lahat ng mga issue, problema, even yung mga disqualification cases or mga pending cases na may kinalaman dito sa halalan, maaari pa rin nilang habulin o asikasuhin sa mga susunod na araw, linggo, buwan o taon. Gretchen.
Okay, that's good news and good to find out na pwede pang maripasuhan itong mga concerns. Pero yun nga, tama ka dyan. Kahit ako nung bumoto ako, yung marker niya parang may himulmul. Kaya kumakalat talaga yung ink. So kaya nakakatakot din. But these concerns should be raised officially with the Comelec para may magawa sila about it. In the meantime, mukhang nauna ka nga dyan, at natulog pa ang mga kasama mo. Pero patuloy ka naming antabayanan para sa updates mula dyan sa Intramuros, Manila. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Matters. We have mobile journalist Mary Monreyes. Let's go to the world of sports. The tandem of Alex Ayala and Coco Gauff continued their impressive run in the Italian Open doubles competition with a straight sets victory over Tyra Grant and Lisa Pigato, 6-2, 6-3 in the round of 16. It was a dominant performance from the Filipino-American pair, who delivered 3 aces and outperformed their opponents in both service and receiving points. The win sets up a tough quarter-final clash against Sara Irani and Jasmine Paolini, the tournament's third seeds. The schedule for the quarter-final matchup has yet to be announced. In the UAAP and UNFEU aim to close out the men's and women's volleyball finals. For the women's, NU will try to reassert mastery over LaSalle and clinch their third title in the last 4 seasons. Vange Alinsug will be expected to play supporting role to graduating stars MVP Bella Belen and Alaisa Solomon. On the men's side, FEU will be hard-pressed to clinch their first title since season 74 by dethroning the NU Bulldogs. Amit Bituin hopes to star for the Tams anew against the force of Leo Ordiales and Buds Budin at the NU side. The games will be held at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City later today. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.